So the Xbox One. The Xbox One was revealed about a week and a half ago, and I have now heard tons of opinions, tons of thoughts. I've looked at the announcement from every different angle, and I've really got an idea of what I think about my personal opinions, and also about what everyone else is thinking. And the general consensus is Microsoft has failed. And I have to agree, Microsoft did not do a good job with this. I think that some people are being a little bit too harsh, but that's what you get when you alienate your main consumer. Instead of going for the core audience, the gamers, they tried to widen their audience. And that is not what you do when you're announcing the new system for the first time. You do not go and try to attract the wider audience right away. No, 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 no. You please your main consumer, the core gamers, at the beginning, and then you branch off, and then you say, oh, and we can also do all this other stuff. There's a lot of negatives here. There are a few positives, and I will go with that, but oh geez, Microsoft, you could have done a better job. And what I think that they should have done is at the announcement, announced more games, and announced more positive things for gamers, and then at E3, show more, show more games. Show a few games at the announcement is what I was thinking, and then have more announcements at the E3, and also then show off all the extra goodies, or show off the extra goodies at the end of the announcement. I don't know. It's just TV and sports is not really what the core gamer is going to want, and I really don't see how this widens their audience by a casual gamer who doesn't really game a lot goes, you know what, I think I'm going to shell out a few $100s or whatever the thing is going to cost just so I can watch my TV and sports on a game system. That boggles my mind, and how Microsoft thought that was going to make them more money. Stupid. But yeah, Microsoft, the last generation, they were my main console. That entire shelf at the top there's some in the back as well. That's where all my games are for the Xbox 360. Then I have, a little selection for PS3. My Wii games are down there. Xbox 360 was my main one last generation. This generation, not gonna happen. Well, at the moment it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. I don't want to jump the gun and say that, maybe E3 won't turn me around, but there are a lot of negatives at the moment. And Microsoft has a lot of redeeming to do. They can do it. They can do it. But if they want for me to do, once again, the Xbox 360 as the main console, they're going to have to do a lot of backtracking to make the Xbox One my main console. I don't even know if I'm picking it up at the launch. Most chances are I'm not, but I will look at E3 to see what they bring at that time. Now, before we get into all the negatives, let's talk about the positives. There's not a lot. Microsoft is going next generation. That can also be a negative, though. Jeez. Starting it off with a bang, aren't we? The controller. The controller, I saw the controller, and it's basically keeping the same model as the Xbox 360, and that is my favorite controller. So I really like that. It looks like the analog sticks have, like, grips on them that you would see on, like, a steering wheel, like a race car steering wheel. I think that's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. I'm just happy that they're keeping basically with the same idea as the old Xbox 360 controller. So that's a positive. I'm happy with that. Next one is 15 exclusives in the first year that Xbox One is out. Now that was a big thing that a lot of people were upset with the Xbox 360. At the beginning, it seemed as though they cared about exclusives, but then as time went on, you would only get Halo, Gears of War, and Forza. Those are the main ones, and once in a while a Fable. It was just ridiculous how that they really did not care about exclusives other than those series. And now they're saying they're coming out with 15 exclusives, and 8 of them are new IPs. Whether that includes Kinect, we don't know. And that's another thing too, is that everyone's assuming that this means, oh well, 15 exclusives, we're gonna have Halo, Gears of War, Forza, Fable, and then the rest will be Kinect. I'm waiting until E3 to really judge what they're doing. I'm not jumping the gun or anything like that. I really do believe that I think that Microsoft is going to try to, Rare's coming back with a historic title. There's possibilities of Crackdown 3. There's a few things that they could go here, and 8 of them apparently are new IPs. So I mean, they can't just do sequels, and I'm hoping that most of those new IPs aren't Kinect related at all. I'm hoping that these 15 exclusives that they're talking about is just brand new games that have nothing to do with Kinect, or if it involves Kinect, that it is a flawless game that actually feels like a... I don't want a Kinect game. I don't care how immersive they can make the game and how fucking amazing they can make it. I do not want a Kinect game that is, you know, a 30-hour RPG that all I'm doing is waving my hands. I don't want that. I'm sorry. And I'm hoping that Microsoft feels the same way with these 15 exclusives. Okay, that's pretty much all the positives that we have to talk about. Now the negatives. Let's start off with the name. Xbox One. Why? Why? God damn it. The only reason why I could see them saying that they're calling it Xbox One is because it's all in one. That is such a stupid, they could have called it anything else. They could have called it Xbox All in One. That would have been a better name than Xbox One, because you're confusing everyone. When I'm going to be talking about the Xbox original now, I cannot say Xbox One. It's so stupid. You know, going from Xbox to Xbox 360, fine, yeah, sure, whatever. But do not start putting Xbox. It would be like saying, I don't know, if there was, like, let's say that Xbox, the next Xbox would have had something to do with a lot of twos. Like, it's meant for two-player game or something like that. And they would have had the Xbox 360, and Xbox 2, just because there's something to do with two, and it was going to be part of their slogan. That doesn't make any sense. What were you thinking, Microsoft? That's one of the things that upsets me the most. Well, it's one of the things that upsets me the most. Not the top one, but it's so goddamn stupid. And to say that it can do all in one, no it can't. You don't have backwards compatibility. The arcade games that you bought on Xbox Live do not transfer. Don't be saying that it's all in one. If you're at least gonna have everything in this Xbox, and it's really gonna be all in one, then make sure that you have everything in there. And don't skimp out on things like games, like backwards compatibility and arcade games that, you know, your consumers have bought and paid for. Do not screw them over. That is just, yeah, it upsets me, trust me. Next up, TV and sports. Okay, so the main thing that they're really trying to sell with the Xbox One here is that you can watch basically TV and your sports and yada 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 and YouTube and Netflix and all that grand stuff. To do this, it means that you have to have, you know, internet already. It means that you have to have cable already. It means that you have to have a bunch of different stuff, and then you also have to get an Xbox Live account. Now, I've never really cared about the Xbox Live account because I do play a lot of online games, but if they're going to be hiking up the price, I don't know if they are or not. If they're keeping it at the same price, fine, whatever. I don't think it should be there. And if it is there, it should be offering more to games, kind of like the PlayStation Plus. I find that that is a great way to offer, you know, a monthly fee or a yearly subscription, because they give you free games. They give you cheaper. I think Xbox Live does that. You can I don't know. I've never actually looked. I don't think that you get any discount. With the PlayStation Plus, you do. You get specific deals every month, and you get games that you get to play that entire time as if you're renting them. It's a great subscription. Like, if I really wanted it, I would get that. Whereas the Xbox Live, it's like, well, you can watch your TV and your sports. I doubt how many people are going to use it. Once in a while I watched hockey on there. Once in a while. And it was very rare. Like, that is not why I have an Xbox 360. It was a nice little feature, but that's what I was trying to get out at the beginning. Please the gamers first. Then please everyone else. And add in extra things that, you know, would be, okay, well, I can get the Xbox 360, or I can get the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4. Which one is better? Well, they both have a really good, strong lineup of games. However, you know, I'm really happy with what Xbox One is offering for games. I'm really happy with PS4. But the Xbox One has a few additional things at the end that are not related to games, but it's really, really cool. You know, they're equal in games. But the Xbox One offers more things. That's how they should have gone about it. Focus on the games first, and additional things afterwards. That I think they would have done a lot better job, but they didn't. And then they barely showed any games, so that's the main thing. They showed Forza 5, and we just had Forza 4 2 years ago, and last year we had Forza Horizon. We've had enough of Forza. That is not going to be selling this. You know, I'm not going to go, I doubt there's going to be anyone out there going, man, I cannot wait to get the Xbox One just to play Forza 5. I cannot get enough of Forza. Really? That's your main selling point? Next one, they showed Call of Duty, and that's how they kind of showed the graphics, and they showed, like, you know, the arm hair. Yeah, it's a little bit more detailed. That's not the main selling point. I don't know. It wasn't any wow or anything. And Call of Duty. I understand that Call of Duty is like one of the biggest games every year. But it's not something... We knew that they were making a new Call of Duty, and it's going to be multi-platform. Go with exclusives. Microsoft exclusives. And then the main thing here is it's related to the games. And that's where they really screwed up, because you have to, when you buy a game, you have to do a mandatory install. So as soon as you get the game, you put it into your Xbox One, you install it fully, then you take out the disc and you never use that disc again, unless for some reason I guess your Xbox One dies or whatever, or you delete the game from your hard drive. That's a problem because to an extent you're going to run out of space. Eventually. I don't think that's going to be a huge thing. A lot of people are saying that, you know, 500 gigabytes isn't enough. I'd like to see how big these games are going to be when you install the game, because even if they're like, I don't know. I've looked at a lot of users that, you know, play a lot of Xbox games, Xbox 360 games, and I look at how long it's been since they played certain games. Like, they'll play a lot of games in a year, but they never go back to certain games. And I think that what you just need to do is you have to be smart about it. You install a game, as soon as you're pretty much done playing it, if it's been a month or two and it does not look like you're going to be going back, because I looked at some people and like they'll have played games in 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, and they've never gone back to those games. You know, those games came out in that year, they played them, they never went back to them. So you're going to delete those games, you know? I don't know. It really depends on how big these installations are going to be and how big these games are going to be. I imagine like a game like Elder Scrolls, that could be very big. Grand Theft Auto, yeah, that's going to be pretty big. But it really depends on how big those installs are. That's not a really big thing to me. What's big to me is that because the mandatory install is there, you have to put an activation code that only allows you to play that game on your console. They have said that, you know, what people are worried that if you have a family member that's there, can they play it? Yes, apparently they can. That they've come out and said that, you know, if my brother is over and he's playing on my Xbox One, he can play it. And I think that you can actually transfer your game to your Xbox Live account, which means that if I go over to my brother's place and I want to play my Xbox One games, I can using my Xbox Live. I can't be using, like, my Xbox Live account can only be played once, you know, either on my place or my brother's place, something like that. I'm not 100% certain on that. And that's kind of okay, but it screws over the used game market, and it also screws over lending this game to my friend. They don't have this option where if I lend this game to my friend, he can't play it. He has to pay a fee, and apparently the fee is going to be close to, like, rumors, $50, or close to retail price. What? How? If it was like $5, I don't know, that's like renting a game. That's not too bad. It still sucks because you're lending a game to your friend and he has to pay $5. But it wouldn't be, I don't think a lot of people would be as upset. But to charge close to retail price, possibly even retail price, to borrow a game from your friend that you were going to give back to him when he already purchased it, that seems ridiculous. It also screws over the used game market completely. And apparently that it's like, they're going to have a machine, the retailers are going to have a machine that once you trade in your game, they're going to be able to put it in there and it'll take your activation code out, which means you cannot play it on your Xbox One anymore. And then they can sell it to somebody else and then they have to activate it on theirs. But it means that the used games, like, there's going to be no point in trading in these used games because it'll be almost the same price. The retailers are not going to be shelling out, you know, however much they used to give before. And before they didn't really give that much either. And it also screws over, you know, if I want to if I want to sell this game at a pawn shop, or if I want to sell it on eBay, or if I want to sell it to my friend, just my friend, and he was going to say, I'm going to give you a good amount for this. But then he has to pay this, like, where are we going to be able to find this thing that apparently activates it? Is it just whoever has the activation key, then it works for them. I don't think that's how it's going to go, because then I could just pass it to my friend. He turns on the activation key. It's no longer on my Xbox One. Once he's done playing with it, he passes it back to me. I put the activation key again on my Xbox One. He can no longer play it and it's back to me. That doesn't seem like it's working that way. So if I wanted to sell him the game, that's not going to work. We're going to need that little machine that takes away the activation key on my Xbox One so that he can play it on his. It's just a whole big rigmarole just to screw over the used game market. And I understand that, you know, developers want to make money, but to screw over your main consumers, especially people that you know, what they do most of the time, they sell their game because they're not using it anymore, so that they can buy another one of your games. Maybe they buy another used game, that could happen, but make your games cheaper. I think that if you brought down the price of your games a lot more people would be more open to the idea of buying new, because sometimes it's only a few dollars here and there. And if it's already at a low price, they might want to buy it from you. Another thing is, if you're going to be offering downloads, because pretty much they're trying to get rid of physical copies as far as I can tell. If you're going to have that, offer it like physical copy $60, download $55, $50. Give them incentive to buy it new or and as a download. I don't know. It's just Microsoft really failed, in my opinion, with this, and they came out. They said, we're going to make a new wider audience, we're going to make more money, but we're going to completely screw the core gamers and the main consumers of our product. That's not how you do it. You please them, you please the main consumers, they, by word of mouth, will let everyone else know how good your product is, and they will be the ones to sell your product. You don't screw over the people that are already buying your products, because they're not going to buy your products and they're going to trash your product. Kind of like what's happening right now. I'm technically on YouTube trashing your product because I'm saying that I'm disagreeing with a lot of what you're doing, and most chances are, depending on E3 and the actual launch, I'm probably not going to pick one up at launch, depending on how things go. And that's what you get. So, you've been Bearded In. Thanks for watching, everyone. And I'll talk to you all in a few days about other things. And hopefully E3, Microsoft can turn this around.
Beardage!